Gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Don Tapscott.
Me and Kevin, we're like that. Marnie, thank you so much. That was like, I think, the most thoughtful introduction that I've had in a long time. It was also too kind. We're going to have some fun in the next hour, but before we get to the fun, you have to listen to me. So that's a very different model of the enterprise, and it's some principles, I think, that are transforming philanthropy and fundraising today. Now the fun part. I'm talking to Denny, and we were having this discussion about what are analogies to this new model of fundraising. And we started thinking, well, musical analogies. Maybe they would work. So we have things like symphonies, we have things like military bands. Military band would probably be the extreme case in point of the old model. You have a central leader, everyone follows, there's a script, everyone knows exactly what note they're playing, they're all marching together in lockstep, in perfect unison and harmony. That's the antithesis of the new model of the enterprise and of fundraising. So what I'd like to do now is to call up one of Canada's leading jazz singers, Shannon Butcher. Shannon, could you come up here and bring your band up as well? Shannon, a couple of years back, was named by iTunes as one of the hottest and best new young jazz artists to come onto the scene. She's got some great recordings that are out, a big following. She plays in clubs and concert theaters and festivals all across the country. Did a huge crowd in Nathan Phillips Square recently. And Denny introduced me to Shannon, and I'm very thankful for that because we've had a couple of amazing conversations. So Shannon, welcome.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for the wonderful speech.
Now, what I've done is we have these themes. Here they are, new models of the enterprise and new models of philanthropy. So Shannon, I wonder if you could maybe pick a few of these, start with one, and sort of as a jazz musician, how does jazz work and how might this theme be analogous?
Well, we could start right with number one. When you're speaking about collaborative innovation, I feel that's exactly what we as a band attempt to do every night. Our goal is to create something that's never been there before, brand new music every night. In our field, we call it improvising. So we have some parameters that we work within, and we get together a group of people who are all risk takers and all enjoy living on the edge a little bit, and we make some music together.
Risk-taking, that sounds scary. I mean, isn't there a lot of uncertainty when it comes to playing jazz? I mean, I don't see any music scores here anywhere. Couldn't you like have a train wreck? How do you avoid that?
Well, we try to avoid train wrecks. I think with uncertainty, we look at it as an opportunity instead of a threat. I like to think of mistakes as landing you somewhere you might not have landed before, so it takes you off on a brand new path. Together as a group, we work to come up with brand new ideas that are based upon the framework that I was mentioning. So for us, that would be we're all going to play the same song, we're all going to play in the same key, we're going to start off at the same tempo. Those are some of the frameworks that we use to try to make it a little bit certain.
Does it ever happen that you start off in different keys?
It does from time to time, but usually we notice quickly enough, and I hire people that are good enough that we can get back into the same key.
How does that
together.
happen? How do you, I mean, what's going on? You're in different keys. We got to get to a common key.
You have to use your really, really big ears. It's a compliment to tell another musician that they've got great ears.
Really?
I tell my students, I also teach music, and I tell my students you can close your eyes when you play, but you cannot close your ears, because music is all about listening. It's all about listening to each other. That's how we make our conversations happen.
So you're improvising, there's a degree of uncertainty, you have to listen carefully, and it's a big collaboration, basically.
Exactly, it's an innovative collaboration.
Okay, so could you play us a song?
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and have a little chat about what just occurred.
Yeah, let's show you guys what we're up to. So we're gonna play a song, it's called One Note Samba. We're gonna play it in the key of A flat major, and I guess I'll give us the tempo. And other than that, we're just gonna jump in and have fun. You're gonna do sure, a one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, and. This is just a one-note samba built upon a single note. Other notes about to follow, but the root is still that note. Now this new note is the consequence of the one I've just been through, as I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you. Oh, there's so many people who can talk and talk and talk, and I have used up all my notes, and at the end I've got to talk. But I'll come back to my first note, as I must come back to you. I will pour into that first note all the love I feel for you. Oh, anyone who wants the whole show, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, well, he will find himself with no show. You better play the note you know. Just a one-note samba built upon a single note. Yeah, you can clap anyone without to follow, but the root is still that note. Now this new note is the consequence of the one I've just been through, as I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you. There's so many people who can talk and talk and talk and just say nothing or nearly nothing. I have used up all the notes I know, and at the end I come to nothing or nearly nothing. So I come back to my first note, as I must come back to you. I will pour into that first note all the love I feel for you. Anyone who wants the whole show, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, well, he will find himself with no show. You better play the note you know. Thank you.
That was awesome. And that's pretty brave, coming to a convention at a convention center at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning and playing jazz.
It is. The sound check was at 6:30, so that was...
Oh, my goodness.
I think some of the musicians might not actually have gone to sleep.
Yeah, that's when jazz musicians go to bed. So there, you can see the listening, and and like who's going to do a solo now, and so on. Now, but you know this band. You've worked for years with all of these peoples,
Well,
haven't
actually,
you? Or
this is the first time that we've all played together. So I know members of all of this band, and I've played with many of them in a variety of contexts. So that's the networking that I suppose I've done before we arrived today to bring this group together. But I didn't realize that Ross, who's here on bass, and Colleen, our sax player, had never met before today. I mean, they're both experts in their field, and so I just assumed that you had, because you're both superstars. But the work that we do in advance allows us to come together to play on the fly, if you will, which reminded me of your self-organization principle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking it's, rather than an enterprise, it's more like a project. Okay, so we have a project here, Monday morning, 9 a.m., sound check, even earlier. I don't know, what songs are we going to play? You know, that's pretty much how it goes, is it?
We do, as jazz musicians, work a lot in the project form. I would say that everybody in this band plays in many, many, many other bands. I mean, would you guys say you've played probably, or how many of you have played in at least 5 to 10 other projects, bands, in the past 30 days? Each one of you. So there's a lot of preparing to play with brand new people. Colleen, would you mind speaking to how you prepare to play with so many different people? Because I know you from a number of projects.
Well, I imagine the process is probably similar for most of us on stage, and fear is a great motivator. For me, the amount of preparation that I do before I show up for something makes the actual experience of it much better, because I can eliminate variables where I can and show up as prepared as possible for each project. So it just means a lot of homework, and then the experience of collaboration is it's possible to be in the moment of it and in the experience of it, and to contribute more if I show up more prepared, because then I'm outside of my own self, and I'm better able to listen and to collaborate.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're saying to be in the moment, because again, to just maybe call upon my students, they want to improvise, but they want to prepare their improvisation. So can I practice the line that I'm going to play when I improvise? But it doesn't work like that. You practice a whole bunch of different lines so you can call them together. So whether you're playing with 3 people or 4 people or 5 people or 6 people, could we up the risk even a little bit more on this stage? And,
that's going to make it
bring in
really
a new band
scary.
member?
Okay.
Would you guys like to hear Don play?
All right, full disclosure here. I'm in a rock band. It's called Men in Suits. We used to do a concert every year, whether our public demanded it or not. But Shannon said, well, why don't you try and sit in with the band? So this is like, talk about risk and experimentation, but we'll give it a go, because clearly I've never played with these people before either. So.
And I think that we should all be grateful to have our international superstar in the band. Since I've met Don, he's been to 4 corners of the globe, and so I'm so excited that you're here to play with us. So shall we do the tune Summertime?
Sounds good.
We're going to do the same thing that we did for the song before. We're going to choose the song so we know the melody and the harmony. The song Summertime. We're going to pick the key, C minor. And this time, Kevin, how about you start the tune? This is Kevin Barrett on guitar. He's going to start us off on Summertime. fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and take to the sky. But until that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you. With Daddy and Mommy standing by. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high, high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Don't you cry. Don't you cry. Yeah, Don. Great to have you in the band.
All right. Sign me up. That was so much fun. Okay, so there's a lot of all these principles going on. Everybody's listening. Like, who's going to play a solo next? Hey, and it was like, hey, Don, that wasn't bad. You want to go for another one? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with that.
But I was noticing, I don't know if everybody noticed in Don's solo how you grew at the end and the rest of the band just came along with you, which I think just shows how we sort of share leadership, especially when we're all soloing, that we kind of have that dynamic leadership principle that you were talking about in action.
Now, how does that work? Because you're the singer, you're the leader of the band, right? But leadership does kind of get moved around and shared. I mean, what is your role? And sometimes you're not doing anything, are you? I mean, you're not singing, you don't have an instrument, so
it's true.
What's going on there?
I am in a unique position being a bit more of a melody instrument. Maybe Colleen at times would be able to attest to being the same. There are times when I am actually not singing, so how am I participating in the music? And I would say that that's through the act of listening. And there are some other things that are really important that aren't necessarily the music making, and that is saying, that was a great solo, you know, smiling at each other, the body language that we share when we're performing. And sometimes as a leader, you need to give space to the people in your group. And I think that that's something that as a singer, you're allowed to do a little bit more readily from time to time than say the drummer might not necessarily get to give space as often. I think it's interesting to look at each instrument and the role that we think that they're playing, that they each have that specific role. You know, Max on the drums is in charge of the rhythm, Ross on the bass is in charge of holding down the harmony, you on the piano or Kevin, you're filling out the harmony and I've got the melody, or I have the words so I'm telling the story. But in truth, we all share those roles together, because if you're not listening to the words I'm saying, then you might not be able to support my message to the group.
This is like Peter Drucker. Many years ago, he says, knowledge by definition is specialized. And everybody has a certain specialization, but somehow in jazz, it works together, where the whole is kind of greater than the sum of the parts. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could do one more tune starting with a different leader. Would you join us for another song?
I would be pleased to.
Max and Ross, how about you start this tune? Yes. Ross just asked me what key it was to make sure that we're all playing in the same key. He's on board. Thanks, Ross. This is I'm Beginning to See the Light by Duke Ellington. I never cared much for moonlit skies. I never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I'm beginning to see the light. Thank you.
Okay, that was great. So I think we have time for one more, maybe, and one more song. So far, it's big innovation. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of improvisation, open. People are listening. Everybody's a molecule. We're all working together, self-organizing, but there's an interdependence. And leadership is constantly changing. So you want to just pick another one there? Or
well,
pick one to focus on?
Something happened in that last song that I thought maybe we could build upon in one more short song. Is that right, Denny? That in the concept of interdependence, we do something that we call trading in jazz, and that's when we take the overall form and we break it down and we each get a smaller piece of it. We call it trading. It's like trading of ideas. So in a song where there might be a 12-bar form and I would have a melody that goes over 12 bars, we could break it down so that we each take 4 bars. So you solo, and then I respond to you, to your solo. And it's just a great opportunity to be inspired by the other person, to give the antithesis of the idea they just shared with you, and it really puts you back into the moment when you're performing. So if we have time, maybe we could do one more song with a little bit of extra trading in it, and maybe some collaboration with a few of you out there. That's right. So we're going to do a little blues for you. And thank you all so much for listening to some jazz on a bright sunny morning. One, in C. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Oh, every day I have the blues. Now every day I have the blues. Well, if you see me worrying, baby, you know it's you I hate to lose. Oh, and I'm gonna pack up my suitcase and move on down the line. I'm gonna pack up my suitcase and move on down the line. Well, there ain't nobody singing, there ain't nobody crying, because every day, oh, every day I have the blues. Oh, every day, yes, every day, oh, every day I have the blues. Well, if you see me worrying, baby, you know it's you I hate to lose. Collaborate with each other, and it's a conference about collaboration, so how could I not collaborate with you? This is a little something we call call and response, and I know you're all fundraising professionals, so if you put out the call, you get the response, right? You know how that works. So I'm gonna put out the call to you, and you respond back. Now, ba 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 da da, ba ba doo da da, beep ba ba da da. Wow! Ba-ba-doo-bow! Wee-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bow! Yeah, oh, because every day I have the blues. You guys are great. We're all going on the road together after this. Every day I have the blues. Well, if you see me worrying, baby, you know it's you I hate to lose. Oh, come on now, every day I have the blues. Oh, now every day I have the blues. Well, if you see me worrying, baby, you know it's you I hate to lose. Yeah.
And a butcher, everybody.
Thank you all so much for singing. That was fantastic. Thank you, Dawn.